and gentlemen, welcome to the Joe Kazana Promotions podcast. This is our weekly podcast, and this week we have no stranger to the wrestling world. We got a stranger to Joe Kazana Promotions. I've only asked her to come and work, 200-300 times, and there's always something going on in Miranda's life. But right now, again, another generational superstar in the wrestling business. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miranda Gordy. Miranda, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
And of course, thank you for having me. And one day I am going to make it out.
You say that.
No, Tennessee is my favorite place to be. So I promise you'll get me there one day.
Well, if you'll ever get yourself moved back to Tennessee, I think right now, where are you, Missouri?
I am in Missouri.
What a terrible place. No offense. I tell Trevor Murdoch the same thing. It's just, it's a horrible place. What part of Missouri are you in?
I'm actually in the Kansas City area.
Oh, okay.
So on the opposite side of where Trevor's at.
yeah. Trevor's on the other end of the state. But again, thanks for being here. And this, I always get this disclaimer out before anything. This is the type of podcast where I talk to whoever I want to talk to. I could care less what the rest of the wrestling world is doing. I could care less what the big boys are doing. This is geared mostly towards, Joe Kazana Promotions, the National Wrestling Alliance, or whatever my guest happens to be doing. Example, last week I had Dave Milliken on. He talked about the championship belts that he made, of course, for the WWE. So we talked a little bit about that. And I'm sure that we'll hit on a little bit of the WWE this evening, simply because, I guess, for lack of a better word, your godfather or your uncle is still there, Michael Hayes. But that's what we like to do here. We just talk about whatever we want to talk about. That's what's so cool about this. And like I told you earlier, don't raise your hand, just interrupt me, whatever you want to do. Okay. You've been in the business for probably, I don't know what, Miranda, 3-4 years by now.
Yeah, this year will be 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that being a generational wrestler, there's a lot to live up to as far as from your dad, who I knew, and let me get this out of the way. Great guy he was. I enjoyed being around him back in the day. He was a lot of fun. He cut a lot of jokes, and you've heard other stories, I'm sure, but I'm not going to tell those stories. but Terry was a great guy, and definitely missed, by all of us. But again, you're a generational wrestler. You have a lot to live up to, the same as any other generational wrestler has had to. It's as far as in your mind, the expectations that other fans or even promoters have for Miranda Gordy, what expectations do you have for yourself being that generational wrestler?
I think it cut out.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I lost you. I couldn't hear you for a second.
That's okay. So you missed the whole question.
I just missed the last part of it.
Oh,
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, just basically just kind of hit on the expectations that you have for yourself being a generational wrestler. Did I cut out again?
Yeah.
Dad, blame it, Miranda. You're killing me.
I know. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I need to quit talking with my hands. Okay, what expectations? Did you hear that?
Yes.
Do you put on yourself being that generational wrestler?
Ooh, to be honest, I had no expectations at all. Getting into this, really, I never saw myself even going for wrestling. I've never been an avid watcher of the show or anything, any shows. Until about 5 years ago, I didn't think that I would have any business with it. So really my whole career, my whole journey has just been whatever happens. Recently, though, as I've gotten into it more and more, I've tried to kind of set small goals. I got to be a part of NWA once, being on MLW, just different shows, how far I can expand as far as independent wrestling goes and
Sure.
see, what all big names I can do. AEW, I've done some dark for them. I've had a WWE tryout. So really just like trying to get better, but not really like, setting super hard goals. If it happens, it happens. If it
Right.
doesn't, I'm just riding the wave, just
I hear you.
kind of
You kind of
taking what my dad left me, which is my name and a legacy,
right.
and using it to, I guess, I mean, have fun in life mostly, but to do something with it, keep, a good memory of him, and make a great future for myself if I
Sure,
can.
sure. I mean, you're kind of sort of like every other generational wrestler. I mean, I've talked to Kerry and my sons and of course Colby Carino and these guys. None of them ever had aspirations of being a pro wrestler. They didn't want to do it at all. So I guess they kind of. I mean, you fall in that same category. You didn't care one way or the other. And honestly, when I broke in, I'm a second generation wrestler. I didn't care. I didn't want to wrestle. I didn't want to have anything to do with this business. It was one of those things. It's like, hey, I told the story. I mean, my grandfather passed away. Ron Fuller comes in and have you ever thought about, wrestling? I said, no, I've not thought about wrestling, refereeing or anything. So it was actually him that got me into it. But again, I think that you share the same feelings about wrestling as a lot of the second or third gens did. So you're in good company, believe me.
I know. And I love meeting all the second gens and just watching them grow and, follow if they do have dreams, obviously following those, but then just trying to like make this their own.
Right.
Like that's special in itself, is trying to take something that was kind of passed down to you, whether you wanted it or not, and just making it like your own thing, like your parents did or whatever.
Right. I mean, you've got to do you can't do what your dad did any more than I can do what my grandfather did. You got to do it for yourself. You got to be the best Miranda Gordy you can be. To take you back to the actual decision, when you made that decision to go into pro wrestling, I mean, it had to hit you all of a sudden if you really weren't an avid watcher of it or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. Back in 2018, like during the summer, I had a friend that happened to wrestle and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Like literally one day I hit him up and I'm like, I think I want to try this. Like it wasn't even my family, like not even Michael, just like a random friend from wrestling that I'd met at a show a couple years ago. And just literally overnight, basically.
Who ended up training you?
So I began training with a guy named Knight Davis in Denton, Texas. He used to run XCW, and he started me out with a guy named Tom Howard, who is a pretty well-known international trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And his life partner, who is in NXT right now, is Zoe Starks. So that's who kind of got me started. And then when I was about 6 months in, like after I'd already having matches, Ember Moon took over. So I've had some pretty notable people in my training.
Definitely. Now I know Billy. She actually has unlike yourself, has been here and worked. So And I apologize. I'm going to keep ribbing you about that probably until the day either you or I die. One or the other.
That's all right.
I told AJ, I guess a couple of weeks ago, I said, I keep halfway wanting to turn on the TV, and I swear I'm going to see Miranda on Monday Night Raw one night. You did that one little, I guess, spot bar scene or whatever it was that you did in there. I can't remember who it was with, but you did that. And I said, there's Miranda. I said, they're going to be here. Here we go. NXT. Here comes Miranda. I mean, I've halfway thought that you would be there, at some point doing all that stuff, because I mean, I've seen your work. I've seen you improve through the years, and as far as NXT goes, I don't think there's a reason why you shouldn't be there. That's just my opinion.
Well, I appreciate that. First of all, thank you very much. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that, even if it's just NXT and I don't make it to main roster, that would be just probably the ultimate goal right now. Because who doesn't want to be signed to WWE, whether
Oh,
they
sure.
they
Oh,
say they
yeah.
want to or not? Who doesn't
Sure.
want to have that? And you never know; the year's not over,
Right.
so
Right.
you could, by the end of the year, very well see me on NXT.
It would not surprise me in the least to see you on NXT. It wouldn't surprise me to see you doing anything out there, or even with AEW, or again with the NWA. I mean, you've got lineage with the NWA, the same as a lot of these kids do. I mean, Samantha Starr is another one who's been with the NWA, and I'm sure you've worked with her several times, and she's
I
definitely.
wish, I've never, her and I talk
Mm-hmm.
like every once in a while, I've met her and stuff, but that's someone that I've wanted to work as
Never
far as the
worked her.
second gen, because there's not a lot of
Right.
second gen women. And so
Right.
she's definitely on my list of people that I have to work.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they put the two of you in the ring together. I think that's money.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
and let's put Baby Doll on the outside. I mean,
That is money.
I'm all for it. I'm all for that. But yeah, definitely, I think that you and Samantha would be a great match out there. As far as what you're doing right now, I know that you've been rehabbing your knee. You'd had a knee injury, and how's that going?
It's going good. I actually had my 6-week follow up post surgery today. Everything's healing great. I have most range of motion back. Just waiting, for the approval, probably a couple months when it's fully healing.
Right.
Probably about the beginning of summer, I'll
So
be back in action.
So let me look at my watch and see when I can get you booked in here. Oh, I'm just kidding. I told you I'll rib you about that all night. Um, let's go back a little bit. I want to talk about your childhood because I know you come from a wrestling family. You've got that background. Um, when was the first time? And I may not be good with dates and things like that because I've got the gray hair now and I'm an old guy, but I'm fairly certain you've seen your dad work before, have you not?
Oh, yes. My earliest memory, I remember going and seeing him at NWA in Atlanta when he was doing the NWA and WCW stuff
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. I barely remember it, but I do remember. I remember being there at which I can't even remember the name of it now, but I remember going and wearing my Terry Gordy shirt and, my mom taking us around the auditorium and stuff. I do remember that.
Right, right, right. You were probably. I know that Terry was at Night of Legends in Knoxville for Smoky Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Now you may have been there for that. I don't remember. I mean, I was there. I don't remember. I don't remember where I sat down an hour ago. But I do know that. I mean, like yourself, the first memories I have of any wrestling with my family, I was super young. Super young. But I thought that you may have been able to see your pop work, and again, what a worker that he was. As far as your work, the different places that you've been, I've seen you all over the country. I mean,
Yeah.
everywhere from California
Yeah.
to Virginia to Podump, Ohio, or wherever. As far as the places that you've been, the places that you've worked, the wrestlers that give you the toughest, as far as, I guess, for lack of a better word, we'll say the toughest fight. Just to be politically correct in the professional wrestling industry as much as we can be. Who out there, where, what territory, what area has given you the most as far as that fight that Miranda Gordy has to fight this person, and whenever I get out there, it's a great match, but yet it's a fight.
Oh, I would say most of probably my best matches are probably in Texas, which is where I got started. There's a lot of great talent out there. Obviously, Booker T has a school out there. The place where I was training, there's a lot of great schools and a lot of great talent. It's a huge state. So there's a lot of people there, and they have some good ones. And so I think that they probably have like the best crop of talent as far as multiple people in one place.
Right,
so
right. I mean, it's like you said, it's a big state, a lot of people there, a lot of different type of wrestling organizations that are out there. I know of a couple, and that's only simply because of Anthony Andrews. You know, he's given me a couple ideas of outfits that are out there. As far as your Tennessee showings, I don't recall you being here that much. Now, I do recall you being down the road a little bit in Ringo, Georgia, on a couple of shows down there for the AWF and my buddy Paul Lee. You worked down there a couple of times that I can remember. I think you did a Christmas show down there, and I think you worked Riley Rocket down there once.
I did.
I was going to say, what kind of matches you have with her?
Yeah, I mean, it was Riley.
She works with us a lot, and she's, you know, in the NWA, she's of course got this new crazy heel moniker named Roxy. But I remember the match, and I really think that was a really good competitive match you had with Riley down at the AWF.
I enjoyed that match. Like us put it together, I was like, I don't know, how it's going to go, but like leaving it, I was like, wow, that was really like a great match. And of course the crowd was, crazy wild, and they popped when she took the powerbomb or whatever, but all of it felt really good. I thought we had really good chemistry. So she's definitely someone I'd work over and over again.
Well, if you'll come here and work, you'll get an opportunity. I know.
You know what? I love Tennessee. I love being in Tennessee, and I like working in Tennessee. I haven't done it often. Paul is the closest to like my home, Chattanooga, but really the only other place would be Southern Pride. I worked there. And then for Bert, when he was running for USA Championship.
Southern Pride's in La Follette. Correct.
Yes, in La Follette. That's right. Yeah, and then like I said, USA Championship. So really, only 2 in Tennessee. So I need to change that this year.
Yeah. You'll definitely change that. As far as coming into here, I mean, like I said, you're one of the wrestlers that a lot of people have asked about. In this area, simply because you do have those Chattanooga ties, and we're 35 to 40 miles from Chattanooga. I mean, we're not that far from there at all. But like I said, you're one of the wrestlers that a lot of people have asked for here. I'm trying to give them what they want, but
we will make that happen, Jeff.
It's going to be a major rib, I think. Like I told you, probably for the rest of your career. I'd heard through the grapevine. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that you are possibly getting another tryout with the WWE.
So, I spent time. I did. Hopefully it happens again. I did have one coming up in December. And I came down to Dr. Tom's to get ready for it. Unfortunately, I tore my ACL right the day before I was supposed to fly out for that tryout. Yeah, I know, right? Terrible luck. But like I said, I'm rehabbing. I'm getting better. I'm sure I'll get another opportunity. Crossing my fingers. Really, obviously, my health comes first, and being able to walk properly. But then getting back in the ring and getting right back to action, which people are still hitting me up, and obviously you. It's not like I'm going to be out of work once I do come back. I'll be hit the ground running.
Oh yeah, you'll hit the ground running. That's for sure. I mean, you're female wrestling, and it's taken off like hotcakes, man. I mean, right now it is as popular as anything out there. In my own personal opinion. And I'm going to ask you this same question. In my opinion, I feel like if I go into the WWE right now, there is not a better wrestler there than Charlotte Flair.
You are correct.
That is men, women, anybody. My dream match at this point is Charlotte Flair versus Camille. That is a match that I want to see. And I mean, What do you think about something like that, a Camille Charlotte match? I mean, who takes that? I mean, really and truly, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, Camille has come so far so fast. You know, Charlotte is Charlotte, of course. I mean, what do you see in a match like that?
Oh, well, money, first of all.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
I mean, in the fact that it'd be like a cross promotion thing would be like legendary. But yeah, super proud of Camille for all her work at NWA, and just being a great champ for them and the face of the women's title for them. But it'd be historic. I think that would be a great match. There'd be a lot of people tuning in for that, for sure.
I guarantee you,
probably a hard hitting match. That's what I would see it as, a very tough, like very aggressive.
I agree 100%. Now the next question is, can you beat either one of them?
Well, of course I can.
There you go. That's what I'm looking for right there. That's the correct answer. The correct answer. I love that answer. But again, like I said, female wrestling, that is the hottest thing in the business today. I mean, honestly, when you stop and you think about the ladies that are actually out there doing this, incredible athletes, can work circles around most men. There's no doubt in my mind. So like I said, I think Charlotte is pound for pound the best male or female wrestler in the WWE, if not, top 2 or 3 in the whole entire country, in every promotion. But as far as the wrestling goes, at one time, and I don't know if you remember, there was something out there. It was the LPWA, which was originally one of the ladies' professional wrestling organization. Like I said, you may or may not remember that.
I do not. That must have been before my time.
It probably was, but it was actually after Glow, and of course, everybody knows what Glow was.
Yeah,
a lot of good wrestlers came out of there too. As far as crossing over, like with I'm trying to think of her name. Anyway, she was the Glow champion that. I can't remember. Ivory, I think, is who it was. It went on up and became champion of WWF. But that was one of the very first lady promotions I can ever remember. I feel like that, to be honest with you, I think that the women could get together and have one hell of a promotion themselves now, and just be that, and honestly, you and you mentioned Billy Starks and some of the other younger talent that's out there. Man, could you imagine getting on the ground floor or something like that? And just, I mean, y'all could take it to another level.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not a big thing like an all women's promotion that I know of, but the one that I do, Mission Pro, has been, they've just been super successful. They had Thunder Rosa backing them, obviously. That's her promotion, but they keep going and they keep people entertained and people drawing people and stuff to them. So they're kicking butt. But I think that as we go on, there will be more and more, and they'll keep, drawing more fans, and people want to see that stuff, because it has been a male dominated sport, and for a good reason, obviously. Like, who doesn't want to see two big beefy men go at it? Two dudes going at it. But like, now the women are seen as athletes, and that's starting to show up more and more.
As well, it should be that way. In my day, you had your women out there that could really go, and honestly, Moolah could go. Bambi could go. A lot of these girls could go. Candy Divine could go. And again, you come into 2023, and honestly, as far as I'm concerned, male, female, it doesn't matter. You could have a top 10 right now, and I guarantee you 4 out of the top 10 are going to be female. There's no doubt in my mind. But as far as let's kind of jump forward a little bit. Let's get past your injury, and I'm sure that you've got some stuff in there in the works as far as what you're going to do after the injury. I'm sure you've got a couple of bookings already. Surely you do. I would think.
Yeah, I have some bookings like well into the summer. I don't want to disappoint anybody, so I haven't filled it up too much. But I've definitely, people every week, they're like, "Hey, are you?" And I'm like, I don't want to make promises, because I hate canceling on anyone and disappointing fans and, putting promoters out of it. So,
Right.
but I do have some where I know where I should be clear,
Good.
And
Good.
Working from that right now, Chicago is looking like one, and then like Amarillo, Texas. So a little bit of traveling.
Home of the Funks.
This one promoter, Joe Kazana, has reached out, and
I don't. Pollo Del Mar said the same thing. And by the way, there's a hello from Pollo Del Mar for you too. By the way,
love, yes.
I was speaking to Pollo probably about 2 hours ago. I'd actually she'd called me and we were talking, but I mean, yeah, she wanted me to let you know that she's thinking about you. Hello, that kind of thing. So as far as the future for Miranda Gordy, what do you want out of this business?
What do I want? Obviously, a career would be great in making money. But really just making memories and traveling and getting to explore things that I didn't think that I would explore. Like I said, I never thought I'd get into wrestling, and here I am, doing it as like every weekend. But it gives me the opportunity to travel and get paid for it. So seeing new places, like there's probably no way I would have gone to Japan if it wasn't for wrestling, or seeing Louisville, Kentucky, or New Jersey, just all these places that it's afforded me to go. Just wanting to get out and experience things that most people don't get to. Most people don't get to wrestle, but then an even fewer amount get paid for it and get experiences for it.
Yeah, so, it's like, where can you go and have fun like that every day of your life and still get paid for it?
Yeah, exactly.
When wrestling becomes work,
make the most out of it. I unfortunately wasn't a fan due to my dad passing so early. So now I'm just trying to make it a good thing for me.
Well, so, I think your homework needs to be to go back and watch the whole feud between the Birds and the Von Erichs.
Yeah,
I mean, from day one, I mean, that's probably one of the greatest feuds that's ever been in this business.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, for somebody that had that opportunity to see that, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was a kid too when I first saw Michael and your dad in the old TBS studios. I was probably, I don't know, 13, 14 years old, and it was, they were just the coolest thing, and they had entrance music, which was unheard of back then. And it was just, they were a great, trio. The three of them were. And like I said, I can't say enough good about your dad. I knew him, and he was a good dude, and you could always have a good match with him. There's no doubt about that. And from what I've seen with you in the ring, it doesn't look like you can have a bad match. It looks like that you're out there, you lead well, you know what you're doing, and that's the important thing. And that's how I look at Miranda Gordy. I look at you as a leader in that ring, and I've seen you do it, and you ought to pat yourself on the back for that.
I appreciate that so much, Joe. Thank you.
You're welcome. And honestly, I'll tell you, getting you into my territory is a quest now. It's a quest. It's like they said in that movie Vacation. It's no longer a vacation. It's a quest for fun. So now it's a quest to get Miranda Gordy into JCP. But we've got a very competitive, women's division here. From Riley Rocket and Kenzie Page, you got Dream Girl Ellie, who's here. I've got Freya the Slaya coming in. Freya States is coming in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, we're real competitive here, and I think the only thing that you can do if you come in here is make it that much better.
Oh yeah. Let's put it this way: it's not a matter of if, it's when. I'll say that. How about that? It's when I come in.
I like that. But like I said, we're very competitive as far as our women's division, and that's the way I want it. you can, like you said, you can have two big old burly guys going out there and sweating all over each other all you want. But when the women get out there, it's different. I mean, it's action all the time. They don't slow down. I've never seen you slow. I've never seen you grab a chin lock, and just sit there. So I mean, but as far as that goes, I think that you'd do well just about anywhere you went. WWE, AEW, NWA, it doesn't matter. You definitely, in my opinion, are one of the women of the future. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well, thank you so much. That makes me feel really good right now, considering where I'm at.
Well, it doesn't matter where you are now. One, it's where you've been, and two, where you're going. So, my last question is this: 10 years from now, barring a name change to, Super Blonde or Super G or whatever the WWE wants to call you, 10 years from now, what's Miranda Gordy going to be doing inside this business?
Ooh, 10 years from now?
Yeah, usually you get the 5-year question. I just go higher with 10.
A decade from now, I would love to still be doing it. I'd love to still be in the ring. Hopefully, I still have my health, and because I've seen people do this up. Jerry Lawler is a great example. That man is in his 70s and still taking backdrops.
Yep.
I hope that I am a Jerry Lawler.
To put it
I hope that I can just a decade. I won't even take the full 75. Just a decade more. I'll be 43.
43. That's still young.
Yes,
way young. In the wrestling business, that's like 12.
Right.
But I mean, with Lawler, I'm glad you brought him up. With him, I use a Star Trek analogy. He is a Borg. I mean, you cannot hurt this man. He's like a piece of steel. But bless his heart, everything he's been through. But as far as, like I said, as far as I see your career, going up, up, up. You're one of the young lions that's out here in the business. I mean, I see so many of you younger folks out here that really, really gets it, and it does my heart good to see, and again, I use, Silas Mason, for example, or my son, AJ, or these, you and just the younger generation, you guys get it. I mean, you truly understand what it takes to do this, because not everybody can do it. Not everybody can do it.
That's true. Not everybody should, and that's what makes wrestlers so unique. That's what makes them superstars. Is not everyone can do it.
Exactly. And I feel like that your future's bright, and I look forward to seeing exactly what this crazy business. I look forward to seeing where you go with it, because I think it's straight up to the top with you. I really do. That's my opinion.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Oh, and we'll get you here soon. Just as soon as you get that clearance, we'll get some stuff going for you here. But I want to thank you so much for taking just a short amount of time to come out here, shoot the breeze a little bit, and just talk a little bit about Miranda Gordy, how you got in this business, what you're doing and that kind of thing. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, no, thank you again for having me.
Oh, you got it. I mean, you come back anytime you want to. And with that, with that, I am going to say goodnight to the JCP fans. I'm going to say goodnight to you, Miranda. I hope, again, that you get that clearance as soon as possible. And again, thank you for coming on. And we will see you guys next week.
All right. Thank you for having me.
That's got it, kiddo.
Awesome.
Thank you so